We've previously seen how important and necessary it is to be able to query the database to analyze the information and make decisions. In this context, we may need to view several indicators together. For example, select a country and see on the same screen the number of flights registered to that country, a chart with the number of tourist attractions offered by each city in that selected country, and a dynamic table with the attractions grouped by category, such as museums, monuments, art galleries, and so on. The dashboard object will allow us to meet this requirement and show all the indicators on the same screen. Thus, this object provides views of the so-called key performance indicators, which are so important for a business process. Let's see it in GeneXus. In the previous video, we created a query object to view a chart with the number of tourist attractions in France. We'll make this object general in order to receive a certain country in a parameter and have the chart show the number of tourist attractions in each city of that country. In order to not alter the requirements already defined, we'll select Save As for this object and call it Query Attractions per City. Alright, now we'll indicate that this query will receive a country identifier as a parameter. On the parameters node, we press Enter and declare the parameter is Country ID. We'll also change the definition. We already have a query that returns the number of tourist attractions for each city of a certain country received in a parameter. Now we'll create another query object so that it returns the total number of flights registered for a certain country received in a parameter. Let's first review the structure of the flight transaction. We had indicated that a flight has one airport of arrival and one airport of departure. Note that to the corresponding groups of subtypes, we've added the country and the city where each airport is located. So, we create a new query object and call it Query Flights. In the Attributes node, we declare country name and the number of flights to this country. We state that the country ID value is received as a parameter, and we'll also declare the corresponding filter condition. Now we'll create the last query object to obtain the list of tourist attractions grouped by category, such as museums, monuments, art galleries, and so on, for all the cities of a certain country also received in a parameter. So we create this last query object. And in the Attributes node, we declare city name, category name, and attractions name. We use this order because it's the grouping order we want to see. First the cities, then the category name, and lastly the name of the tourist attractions. Finally, just like in previous queries, we declare the country ID parameter and the corresponding filter condition. At this point, we have three query objects that solve different queries, and that also have something in common. They all receive a country identifier as a parameter. Now we want to be able to query these three indicators at the same time in the same screen, so we'll create an object of dashboard type. And we'll call it Travel Agency Dashboard. We can see two large areas. Here we drag the objects we want to see, and here we define the corresponding filters. We open the toolbox, and we'll drag an object control over the corresponding area. and we'll select Query Flights. Note that since it's a query object that has parameters and filters defined, this filter to define in the corresponding area of the dashboard is automatically displayed. In its properties, we indicate the filter name country ID and also indicate that it's a dynamic combo. From the type property, we select combo box and set to true the dynamic property. We also indicate that the value will be country ID and the description will be country name. By clicking on this dashboard tab, we can see that its properties allow changing the position of the filters. We'll choose top. Alright, we've defined the filter. Now we return to the Query Flights object, and in the type property, within the output group, we set its output as card. This card output format will allow us to see the number of flights registered for the country selected in the filter. Let's return to the dashboard object, and we'll drag another control of object type. This time, we'll select Query Attractions per City. From its properties, we set the output as chart. And we'll call it Attractions per City. We repeat the process to integrate the last query object. From the toolbox, we drag the object control again, and this time we choose Query Attractions per Category. Within the frame group, we'll also set this visible property to true. And in this way, we can enter a name for this pivot table. We'll call it Attractions per Category. Alright. We'll also give a title to the query with card output. So we select it and set to true its visible property within the frame group. And we'll enter Query Flights as its title. Now we'll edit the filter properties, and as a caption, we simply enter country. And now let's consider the following. By clicking on any of the query objects we have in this dashboard, the related filter is automatically highlighted. In our example, the three query objects share the same filter, and that's why it's always highlighted. Likewise, if we click on the filter, we can see that all the query objects to which it applies are automatically highlighted. At this point, to view this dashboard at runtime, we need to define a web panel and also use the dashboard viewer control. So, we'll create a web panel, and we'll call it WP Travel Agency Dashboard. From the toolbox, we drag the dashboard viewer control. We'll edit its properties, and in the object property, we'll select Travel Agency Dashboard. All we have to do now is press F5 to see our dashboard at runtime. We select the web panel, and Brazil is shown as the country in the filter. For example, we select France. We change it to Italy, and then change it to China. And here are the three query objects at runtime. In this way, we've seen a simple example of the use of the dashboard object to view several dynamic queries on the same screen receiving data from the same filter.